Made man here. Y'all know how I get down. We talking boxing, man. So this weekend, man, on the undercard of Leo Santa Cruz versus Rafael Rivera, a fight that no one's checking for or talking about because we want to see Leo Santa Cruz fight Gary Russell Jr. On the undercard of that fight, we got the return of Omar Figueroa, and he's going to be going up against the return, basically, of John Molina Jr. Now, that is a fight that I'm really, really looking for. Just like the words of John Molina has said, this should be the main event. This is the main event. The reason that people will be watching that card will be for this particular fight because we are talking lights, camera, action, man. You hear me? This fight is going to be all that I'm hoping it's going to be. At least I'm hoping so. And, man, I'm expecting nothing but a war, nothing but action, and no less. This thing is going down on Fox this weekend, this Saturday, you know what I mean? So I'm definitely going to be checking for this fight right here. I'm dying to see what Omar Figueroa looks like, given that we haven't seen him in the ring in over a year and a half. And really, I want to see what's left in the tank for John Molina Jr. because we ain't seen him fight in a little bit over a year neither. Both men coming off some very impressive victories. With the last fight we saw Omar Figueroa in was destroying Robert Guerrero up at 147 pounds. And also we seen John Molina Jr. destroying Ivan Redcat down at 140 in a hell of a war. Multiple knockdowns. John Molina Jr. losing the early part of that fight to come back to stop Ivan Redcat. Man, that was a hell of a fight. Multiple knockdowns exchanged. But Ivan Redcat, to me, man, he was a lightweight that just came up to 140 and started out well, but just couldn't finish it off. Couldn't take that punishment that John Molina was giving back. I got a lot of respect for John Molina Jr., man. Had a lot of ups, had a lot of downs in his career. Big wins, big losses. Wins like over Mickey Bay and Ruslan Provodnikov, but then took losses to dudes like Terrence Bud Crawford and then some. He got about 7 losses. But he's a hell of a fighter to watch. Always entertaining. When he got in there with Adrian Broner, that was probably the worst fight that I seen John Molina Jr. ever fight because he did not let his hands go. And we are always expecting for John Molina Jr. to let his hands go. Most importantly, though, man, like I said, I'm surprised that this fight is actually going down at 140 because both men has been out of the ring for so long and they're cutting weight to go back down to 140. Though John Molina Jr. usually campaigns down at 140. Don't get me wrong. He was preparing in his last fight. Well, what we thought was going to be his next fight was going to be against Victor Ortiz. That fight was going to happen down at 147 pounds, but Victor Ortiz got a sexual assault charge, and that took him out of the fight. As for Omar Figueroa, though we ain't seen him in over a year and a half, his last fight was at welterweight. Was against Robert Guerrero, stopped him in 3, looked very impressive, looked very strong. So we thought, yo, man, he coming back to welterweight. But then I guess he decides to go back down to 140, where he's campaigned at in the past. But he has not made 140 pounds in over 4 years. 4 years. It's been 2015 since the last time that Omar Figueroa fought down at 140 pounds. So that's why this is so surprising. I guess you could say the messed up thing about John Molina Jr.'s fight with Victor Ortiz also was that it was going to be a main event fight. It was going to be the main event. Yet, you know, he lost out to that fight, and now we see him returning on the undercard of a fight. But once again, this fight can be considered the main event because this will be the more exciting fight that everyone's going to be looking forward to on this particular upcoming card. As for Omar Figueroa, it's like, yo, man, every time this dude get a lot of momentum behind him, right? He gets all this momentum. He may come off real decent wins, but then he'll just stay out of the ring for long periods of time. This ain't the first time that Omar Figueroa has stood out of the ring for a long period of time. We know Omar Figueroa is plagued with injuries. Bad hand, bad shoulders, whatever, head, knees, and toes. He has a lot of injuries that he withstands, not to mention his conduct outside the ring. He ain't like, you know, he ain't no always stand-up citizen. There's been rumors about him having drinking issues and eating junk food. But, of course, Omar Figueroa said ain't no truth to that. There was rumors that the reason that the Adrian Broner fight didn't go through because Omar Figueroa was supposed to come back last year against Adrian the Problem Broner. We thought that fight was going to actually happen. Adrian Broner, man, he was a little paranoid over that fight, trying to put different stipulations on Omar Figueroa. I did a video about it. It's still in my archives. And I told people, man, that the style of Omar Figueroa was going to be a nightmare for Adrian Broner. But during that time, Omar Figueroa had caught a DUI, and he also got injured. Now, according to Omar Figueroa, the reason he got pulled out of that fight was not because of the DUI. It was because of the injury. So a lot of people was reporting at the time, oh, he got in trouble with the law and this, that, and the third once again because of his drinking. So they pulled him out of that fight. That was not the case. According to Omar Figueroa, it was because he sustained the injury. So I guess we got to roll with what the fighters say, right? The thing is, victories over either one of those opponents for either man would have put them in a very decent position amongst the boxing rankings, perhaps. Because Victor Ortiz was coming off some victories, and a win by John Molina over Victor Ortiz would have definitely probably got him ranked. As for Omar Figueroa, same thing. Victories over Adrian Broner and some of his victories in the past would have possibly lured on bigger and better fights, something that Omar Figueroa wants. But those fights never came to fruition. They never happened. You know what I mean? So, unfortunately, when you look at the implications of this fight, neither man is ranked high in any sanctioning body at either weight class, whether it's 147, whether it's 140, whatever, 35. Neither man is ranked that high, but however, a victory over each other could possibly wake up the sanctioning bodies and rank them properly. Now, for Omar Figueroa, man, like I said earlier, every time this dude seemed to get momentum behind him, he kind of disappears, mostly due to injuries. Some say mostly due to his out of the ring activity, but I would just give him the benefit of the doubt right here and say due to injuries, because he does sustain a lot of injuries due to the way he fights. But, you know, it started all the way back in 2013 for Omar Figueroa. Started with victories over Abner Cotto. Then he had that cult classic bloody war, balls to the wall fight with Nihito Awakawa. Man, that was a hell of a fight. Hell of a fight. One of the fights that really put Omar Figueroa on the map for me. And then, you know, he came back and got victories over guys like Daniel Estrada in 2014. Came back in 2015, beat former champion Ricky Burns, former unified champion Ricky Burns. Come back and been in 2015, beats former champion Antonio DeMarco. You know what I mean? Like, those were good victories. Had momentum going at his back, and then bam, after 2015, you didn't see him for damn near a year and a half. Came back after a year and a half due to injuries and plagued with injuries and situations he was dealing with. Comes back at welterweight and gives Robert Guerrero the beating of his career, which made Robert Guerrero call it a day. Robert Guerrero's last fight got destroyed by Omar Figueroa. Balls to the wall type fight. Omar came forward, hard shots. Boom, boom. Stopped Robert Guerrero in 3. And then what happens? Omar Figueroa disappears. That happened back in July of 2017. Omar Figueroa is now resurfacing, and here we are in February of 2019. Once again, he's supposed to fight Adrian Broner, but due to injuries, according to him, and, you know, also dealing with some out-of-the-ring situations with DUIs and stuff, that fight never happened. And Adrian Broner went on instead to fight Jesse Vargas. So it's kind of, you know, it's kind of messed up. Like, every time this dude gets some sort of momentum, you know what I mean, gets people hyped up on him, people always wanting to see him fight because he action-packed. It's like every time he get the momentum, then boom, he just disappeared, you know? So, you know, man, but it's always good to see him back. We know he also got that scrap with he beat Errol Spence Jr. back in the day in the amateurs. That was a fight that I always thought would possibly happen at the welterweight division. So when he came up to welterweight and fought Robert Guerrero, I was like, oh yeah. After he got Guerrero out the way, if he'd have beat Adrian Broner, hey Slim, they could have put him up in there with Errol Spence Jr. It would have been a huge fight for Texas. When Errol Spence Jr. was looking for an opponent, I was always screaming, yo, what's up with Omar Figueroa? Yo, I mean, what's up? That'd be a hell of a fight. Especially since Omar Figueroa already having victory over Errol Spence Jr. This would be big not only for boxing, but also big for Texas. But unfortunately, it never happened. But it's good to see him back either way, though. Now, as for John Molina Jr., A fighter that's been through wars and rumors of wars. 36 years of age, kind of getting up there in age. Been through a lot of hard and tough fights in his career. Coming off that awesome victory against Ivan Redcat, as we talked about earlier. Bloody war, multiple knockdowns. Some say one of the secrets to John Molina Jr. winning that fight was that it was around his wife's birthday. And that gave him that extra motivation that he needed to give her a happy birthday present with a win over Ivan Redcat. But prior to that, he had suffered a loss by losing to Terrence Bud Crawford. And this was fresh after a big win over Ruslan Provodnikov. That was a hell of a fight. Hell of a fight. Gave Ruslan a hell of an ass whooping in that fight. It went down to the 12th round, but it was a very exciting fight to watch, man. For real. Prior to that, he took that major loss to Adrian Bronner that really kind of hurt him. But that was, like I said before in that fight, that's the John Molina Jr. that I've pretty much never seen in a fight. That was John Molina Jr.'s first fight where he just refused to let his hands go. So I was like, damn. Took a loss to Humberto Soto right before that. So took a loss before that to Lucas Matisse. He was on like a losing streak during that time. But the one fight that saved his career was the Ruslan Provodnikov fight. That fight gave fresh breath, if you will, to the career of John Molina Jr. So he needed that fight. Turned around and lost to Terrence Crawford, but turned around and had a good fight with Ivan Redcat. Once again, breathing more life into his career. We all know the biggest win of his career was against Mickey Bey, when Mickey Bey was beating him for majority of that fight. But then John Molina Jr., boom, big shot at the end, and ends up stopping Mickey Bey in the final round. That was a hell of a story to tell. I remember covering that fight. Stopped Mickey Bey in the final round after basically losing majority of that fight. So that's the story of John Molina Jr., man. You just never know what you're going to get. Some fights he may come in there, man, and balls to the wall and boom, boom. Then some fights, he may not look nearly as stellar, like we seen in the Adrian Bronner fight. But he's always usually giving you exciting fights for the most part. And he's always pretty much game. And you just honestly never know what you're going to get. So that's what makes it so good about this upcoming fight, man. Is the fact that, both of these dudes been out of the ring for a while. Both of these dudes are hungry. Hungry. And both of these dudes are down to fight, balls to the wall. Both of these dudes are down to give us a hell of a show. Don't expect much skills in this particular fight. Don't expect boxing IQ in this particular fight. Expect for somebody to get dropped. Omar Figueroa says he'll be surprised if this fight goes 8 rounds. Neither man is believing that this fight is going to go 12 rounds. So when you hear this type of talk from like that, from these two dudes, man, you got to believe them. You got to believe them. Because they known to fight this way. So neither man is expecting this fight to go the distance. Neither man, they're both expecting to go in there and give an all-out war. And this may be the story of the upcoming card over Leo Santa Cruz. And what's the other cat name? Rafael Nadal, Rafael Ninja Turtle, Rafael Rivera, whatever his name is. You know what I'm saying? Nobody's checking for that fight. We want to see Gary Russell Jr., and I'll plug that in one more time. But man, at the end of the day, man, this is going to be a good fight. I'm expecting for this mostly to be the main event. Hell of a fight. You know what I'm saying? Action-packed. Man, the thing is, stylistically, of course, Omar Figueroa has the youth on his side. But however, Omar Figueroa also has injuries. Will he get injured during the fight? Will he hurt himself during the fight? As for John Molina Jr., a dude who's been conditioned to a war-style fight, so is Omar Figueroa, but he's been conditioned. You know what I'm saying? It's like with him, man, could age catch up with him? Could age catch up with him? Or, is John Molina Jr. You can't say, like I said before, you can't say a lot of skills going to be used in this fight. And I think that the Achilles heel for John Molina Jr., when he gets in there with skillful fighters, especially fighters with faster hands, is where he usually kind of, fall back a little bit. Omar Figueroa Jr., he swings wide. His defense is not nearly as stellar. His footwork is not all of that, but he's full of heart, and he's got good power. But he hasn't fought at this weight class in over 4 years. Man, this is going to be a hard fight to call, truth be told. Now, if these two fighters were maybe more active, and we've seen a lot more of them, then I'd probably more honestly lean more towards Omar Figueroa. And I am leaning towards Omar Figueroa for the win in this fight. I like Omar Figueroa. I do. You know what I mean? I'm leaning for him towards the win. I think the youth, I think his determination, him wanting to prove. On top of that, he just has a bit faster hands and he's took less punishment than say John Molina Jr. to take the win. But I wouldn't be surprised if John Molina Jr. won this fight. It's one of those type fights when you just got two men in there just slugging at each other. You know what I'm saying? It's always hard to say, well, which one is going to get the best of one. It all depends on heart. It all depends on determination. It all depends on hunger. So with those being said, I mean, I'm leaning towards Omar Figueroa. Neither man has stellar defense. Both men are always there to be hit. But Omar Figueroa's engine from the last time that I seen of him, not to mention what he did to Robert Guerrero. I mean, he went in that thing and just straight up destroyed Robert Guerrero. I think I'm going to lean more so towards Omar Figueroa, man. Real talk. But like I say, I wouldn't be surprised if John Molina Jr. pulled it out. One big shot can change a fight. And when these two fight the way they do, a big shot could just change the whole trajectory of the fight. So don't be surprised if John Molina Jr. slipped a right hand in there to change the course of this fight and he gets the stoppage. But I'm leaning towards Omar Figueroa. But I'm really looking forward to this fight, man. Without a doubt. So we'll see, man. We'll be here for the post-fight video. Tune in here. I'll be live. I'll be turned up for this fight. This is one of those fights you cannot be PC'd. You can't be humble. You can't be all, oh, well, you know, yeah, well, from what I evaluated in this fight, you can't be like that with this fight. This is one of them fights you got to be turned the fuck up, hype, all that. You know what I'm saying? This, ladies and gentlemen, is a caveman fight. And I love it. And I love these kind of fights. We gotta have these type of fights every now and again to get us hype. It ain't always got to always be, oh, this strategy. Who has the best this? Who has the best that? Sometimes it's good to just see two men get in their balls to the wall, with a lot on the line, trying to prove, and going to give us a hell of a show. And I think this is kind of fight. So we'll see. So to the next video, Main Man, Made Man. Don't forget to subscribe. Twitter, Made Man 511. Facebook, Main Man, Made Man Boxing Forum. Google Plus, Main Man, Made Man. We'll see how it go down, man. I'm looking forward to this one. Don't miss it. Saturday night on the undercard of Leo Santa Cruz versus Rafael Arrivederci Riviera. I'm sorry. Whatever the fuck. To the next video. Peace out.